Hello and welcome to this special discussion program. I am your host, Fernelle Neptune. Today we have with us a very important and special guest with us. This is the Minister for Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, the Honorable Jn Baptiste. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here and I look forward to this discussion.
Wonderful. It has been months since the Ministry of Health has been blessed with the portfolio of elderly affairs. And many might ask that question, what is elderly affairs and what does it entail? And today we are going to have this discussion on elderly affairs and also putting it in perspective and conceptualizing it. As we start the discussion, can you speak with the portfolio of elderly affairs? What exactly is elderly affairs and what is the vision for elderly affairs, elderly care for the government?
Well, I'm so happy to have this discussion on elderly affairs. The government of the St. Lucia Labour Party, the government of St. Lucia, we want to ensure that there's, greater inclusiveness in the society. And we believe, based on all the studies that are available, that older folks in St. Lucia, older people in St. Lucia, feel that they have not been included in the development of the country, and that the care for the elderly over the years, there's not been enough focus on the care for the elderly. So our goal is to ensure that we include older people, older St. Lucians, in nation building, in the development of the country at all levels, and at the same time increase the focus on the care for the elderly, because they have so many issues that they have been referring to over the years.
Wonderful. And as time goes by, elderly affairs, it's something that we're going to get more information on as it goes about developing. But can you tell us, how does the government hope to achieve this portfolio of elderly affairs?
Well, first of all, we are at this time working to establish a unit within the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs, which will focus specifically on elderly affairs. We do not have a unit within the ministry or in any other government department which deals specifically with issues of older people. We have within the Department of Equity programs which have dealt with older St. Lucians for a long time, but we are establishing a unit called a unit which will be responsible for elderly affairs. We are also reviewing the national policy on older persons in St. Lucia, or the national policy for older persons in St. Lucia. There have been many attempts to develop a policy for older persons in St. Lucia. There is the 2003 attempt, and there is the 2006 and 2012 attempt, which is the latest draft document, and there are other documents which we have found, and over the years several departments have tried to finalize a policy for older persons in St. Lucia. We are going to finalize a policy for older persons in St. Lucia, and we have a consultant, a qualified consultant, who is putting that policy together through consultation and through discussion. This policy will go to Cabinet and then to the Parliament of St. Lucia, after which we are going to go throughout St. Lucia to explain this policy and to ensure that all organizations, development committees, and the wider St. Lucia get to appreciate the issues. There's so many issues over the years our elderly people have been grappling with, so that we can handle those issues and tackle them as a country together.
Okay, so we can definitely say that we're confident that in time to come, that persons, St. Lucians, will be able to get that opportunity to know what exactly will be put in place by the government as it relates to elderly affairs.
Well, very soon. In fact, I'm looking forward to the work of the consultant, and I know there are many organizations, Help Age St. Lucia, and so many other organizations, the former Club 60 organizers and individuals who run the elderly care homes. There are so many individuals, the social clubs and also the service clubs. There are individuals in St. Lucia who don't belong to any club, but they have been working very hard over the years with the elderly. I know they are all looking forward to a kind of unified approach in dealing with elderly people in St. Lucia. And I am excited about it. I know something good will come out of it.
I can definitely tell you that you're excited.
Yes.
And a lot of persons might ask the question, why did the government make the decision to tie in elderly affairs with the Ministry of Health? What was the reason behind it?
Well, it was easy because when you think about elderly affairs and when you think about the vision of the government to include more people in nation building, more groups and so on, we realize that elderly affairs generally deals with the inclusion of experienced, retired, older persons, older people in the development of the plans of the country and in the development, in the implementation of the country's programs. But also there's a very big aspect of this discussion which has to do with care for the elderly. And many of the problems that we have with the elderly and many of the problems that are associated with growing older, you can find within the Ministry of Health, the programs of the Ministry of Health. So it was easy to tie the program of elderly affairs with the Ministry of Health. What will happen is that we are going to enhance the programs which deal with care for the elderly. The studies have shown that older people in St. Lucia have said over the years that they do not access our healthcare facilities as often as they should because they have issues with access, the way maybe they're treated when they get to the healthcare facilities. Maybe they have to stand for too long, and many issues that people consider to be simple issues, but they are very important for older people. Transportation to the healthcare facilities. And over the years, we've seen abandonment of older people in St. Lucia, that whole issue of abandonment growing. So the program of the Ministry of Health will tie into elderly affairs.
Yes. So before we take a break, we're going to take a break now, but when we come back, we will be discussing in terms of the enhancement of the services. We'll be back in a moment. I didn't do that break well, huh?
We are working parents,
and we breastfed both babies exclusively.
Moi fais 6 chiches, moi ba yo tout tété ki yo tout ni bon cervelle.
Mother's breast milk is naturally the best milk for baby. Love yourself and love your baby.
We were breastfed and we are healthy.
Breastfeeding saves me money and it's free.
Every moment I breastfeed strengthens the bond between me and my baby.
I breastfed twin boys and lost all my baby fat.
We were breastfed
and we have breast milk power.
I am Pastor Alvin and I support breastfeeding.
For more information, call the Nutrition Unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness at 468-5359.
Welcome back. We will continue our discussion with the Minister for Health, where we speak on the area of elderly affairs. Before we took the break, you were speaking as it relates to how the government made the decision to tie in elderly affairs with Ministry of Health, and you touched on the enhancement of the services. Perhaps you can speak more on how will the government, how will the services as it relates to elderly care or elderly affairs be enhanced?
Well, firstly, when we look at the statistics, we note that the general problems with health in the population affect older persons even more. When we look at disability, for example, in the population, disability rates may be about 5%, 5.5%, but older persons account for like 17 for women, like 17.5% of people with disability, and then men account for like 18 or 19%. So it is very clear that even with disability, older persons are affected even more. When you look at non-communicable diseases, another big problem in St. Lucia, when you break down the numbers, you look at the statistics, older people are affected even more. And therefore, what we have to do as a ministry is to ensure that we focus our services so that the older people in our society get more attention because they are impacted even more. We already provide services to older people in St. Lucia, obviously, they go to the health and wellness centers and so on. But our programs now will be focused even more to ensure that the problems that we know there are problems, because several studies have been done by ECLAC, by PAHO. There are several studies, and we can look into the issues there to ensure that our older individuals, our older people are focused on a little more. In terms of how we include older people in the development of the country, in the planning for development, in the implementation of development. Many people who are 65 years and older feel as if they are being abandoned, not only by their relatives. There are several families we are discovering who are abandoning, sadly, older people, partly because they don't know how to care for these people, or because everybody's at work and it's difficult and challenging. But it is a problem, it's real. How do we as a country, how do we as a ministry take these issues and ensure that our older people are cared for? And that is something we are also going to focus on. I want to also say that this ministry has been given the responsibility of focusing on the elder care homes. So we have the Comfort-Based Senior Citizens Home, which is a government-run institution. It is now our responsibility. And also the other private elderly care homes or elder care homes. We need to work even more closely with them. They've been doing a wonderful job over the years, struggling with all sorts of resource constraints, and we have to work with them to ensure that we coordinate our programs even more.
Okay, and you mentioned in terms of the home, the elderly home, and we know Ministry of Equity is one of the ministries that has that responsibility of elderly care. What change are we expecting to see? Is it going to be different? What exactly is going to happen now?
Well, the Ministry of Equity over the years has done a wonderful job with the program. As you know, there is a program there for older persons, and they have been doing the elder abuse and so on, and they've done a wonderful job. What we are going to do, especially with the senior citizens home, the Comfort-Based Senior Citizens Home, and the other citizens homes, but in particular the Comfort-Based Senior Citizen Home, is to cause there to be synergy among our programs within the Ministry of Health and that of the Comfort-Based Senior Citizens Home. While the Comfort-Based Senior Citizens Home is not a hospital, but it's a home, but many of the issues there are clinical issues relating to diabetes, mental health, issues relating to non-communicable diseases and so on. And therefore, the Ministry of Health is in a very good place in relation to how do we now bring in the programs at the Comfort-Based Senior Citizens Home into the programs of the Ministry of Health, the clinical programs, the nurses, the standard of care and so on. So we believe it's going to create very nice synergies, and we believe our programming will be seamless throughout the ministry, which now includes the Comfort-Based Senior Citizens Home.
Great. And quickly, can you tell us, as the Minister for Health, what is your hope, or what would you like to see when it comes to elderly care in St. Lucia?
In the next 4 years, which is when, if God blesses me with good health and long life, in the next 4 years, I am hoping that by the end of my tenure, that there's a general change in the consciousness in St. Lucia about older people in St. Lucia. I am hoping that older people in St. Lucia can say, based on studies, when we do the studies, we are going to compare what happens now, what is happening now, to what will happen in by the next 4 years. And I'm hoping that older people can say that they are more involved in national development. I'm hoping that older people can say that when they go to our healthcare facilities, that they are treated even better. I'm hoping that older people can say that there are programs in St. Lucia, not only within government departments, but also at the level of community organizations, development committees, that these programs also focus on them. I'm hoping that older people can say that we have a lot more recreational facilities and opportunities for recreation, and opportunities for working with younger people, because all of the experience of our older people need to be passed on to the younger people, and I'm hoping that by the end of 4 years, we can see that happening.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we have come to the end of our discussion for today, but I can definitely tell that you're very passionate about elderly affairs and providing that level of service to the elderly. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited, and I look forward to working with Help Age and all of the other organizations in St. Lucia to ensure that older people in St. Lucia, we bring them to prominence once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, with that, we've come to the end of the special discussion program for today. I am Fernelle Neptune. Thanks for watching. Until next time.